What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. NBA Talk with Jay Money and the Shark and Jay special, man. What's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you?
Oh yes. It gets better. We thought we weren't coming on 2:30 in the afternoon. Just got back from lunch, feeling rejuvenated. December 7th, 2021. Beautiful day in the life. Nice little 3-pack of NBA games tonight. We got the hat on, we got the shirt on, we got the background on, and we have this Knicks team coming in here on an insulting L3 and an insulting L2 at home. Some disgusting efforts. We're going to discuss this, and it's a beautiful day to dominate. Jay Money, what's going on today?
Chilling, man, chilling. Hey, and you know what, Shark? We got to ride with what we like, right? You told me the other day, you're like, hey, go with your first. Go, you know what I'm saying? Tuition is the key, man. And I said it yesterday. I said the Spurs was gonna cover versus the Suns, and then I said it was gonna come home and tank it today. So I said it. Obviously, it doesn't always go how I say. I like to cap motivation, guys. The players don't always come out there motivated, but unfortunately, it's the only way that I could look at the game, especially as far as rest advantage, motivation wise. These teams don't always come to play, but I do think the Knicks come to play today. The Spurs will come to play today as well, guys, but I don't think they'll have enough energy here as far as the 48-minute game. They come off a tough game yesterday here, Shark. The line is plummeting, right? I understand why people like the Spurs. They're 5-0. The last 5 ATS, played some damn good games. The last thing I'll say about this one, Shark, just look at it psychologically. You've been playing your game super late. You're out on the West Coast playing at 9:30 Eastern, you see what I'm saying, or 10 o'clock Eastern. Now you come back to the house, a 2-hour time difference, which actually is a big difference as far as a body clock. You come back to San Antonio at the house, a road home back-to-back here, Shark. Talk me off.
Could not talk you off. And I see the chat. We love you guys, and let's discuss this. The general gap in public versus sharp capping. Public Joes look at yesterday and think it's going to forever repeat itself. Usually sharp analytics are more so zoomed out to a long-term average, asking where it will move today. That's how I look at these games, and I see a lot of new guys in the chat who probably never listened to me talk today. I don't take the hats off because we're here to dominate, respect, and love. And what's going on here, you're finding the Spurs on a 5-0 ATS clip with 4 outright wins against teams that are certifiably and notably better than they are long term. So then you ask yourself a question. Are the Spurs too hot in a small window? Yes, they are. Then you look at what's going on here. 3rd and 4, road home back-to-back off a real scrappy cover against the Suns last night. And then you look at the Knicks. Yes, the Knicks are in disarray. Have we been betting the Knicks when they were in disarray? No. We know when to buy low on a team as they should improve. And then you start looking at the actual matchup. Last year, the Knicks did go 0-2 ATS against the Spurs. They got absolutely hammered in San Antonio. Of course, different roster groups back then. The Knicks were -2 in that position and got blown out by over 20 points. Then they came home, and the line came up to 4.5. They did not cover 102.98 by a hook. We always talk about line functionality. When the original average is -2 and it only comes up to 4.5 at home, that's short by a hook, and they didn't cover by a hook. So it was a sharp average, and they were 0-2. So they ran poorly in a small window dispersion. Now this comes down to 2.5. Should come down to 1.5 pick. It's showing strength to the Knicks for the first time in the last 3. And really, when you start to look at what's going on here, a really good corollary point to fade the Spurs, a home game against Milwaukee on a road home back-to-back scenario early season where they covered at Denver and lost outright the previous night. Covered last night, lost outright, scrappy effort. Come home. I think they could keep this close in the first half. I think the Knicks will relentlessly push the energy throughout the game. The fatigue and the ATS 0-2 sample should progress in the direction. Official play, -2 Knicks, 1 unit.
I like it, Shari. And so we know, guys, as well. So I'll be honest. So even Julius Randle saying we're in a funk right now. This team is better than what they're showing. Obviously, they Kemba Walker went out of lineup. Then they start playing a lot better. Then they went on to lose 3 straight games. Now, I mean, 2 of those games are really tough versus the Bulls and versus the Knicks. And then you got smacked up in the matinee game versus the Nuggets. That was like the bottom out spot for me, if you ask me. they had a day off. They've had 2 days off. They had the very next day off. Probably they practiced in San Antonio yesterday. So they've been in San Antonio. Wait on these guys. They have the 2-day rest advantage on a 3-game losing streak. In theory, they should be the more motivated team. They definitely have the more energy as far as 48 games. Julius Randle, tell the team, look, we got to look at ourselves in the mirror and see what type of season we want to have. Do you guys want to barely make the playoffs? You want to be an 8th seed, or you want to be in the play-in tournament, or what are we doing here? We want to turn up and do something and even build on last year. So I think this team will probably have like a team meeting type of get together. But look here, guys, we got to fucking turn up. We can't be losing to the San Antonio Spurs. So anything is possible. But I know that the Knicks in a funk. The Spurs are hot right now, but we do got the Knicks as the favorite here. I think they're favored for a reason here, Shark. Let's cash.
Yeah,
oh my God.
And one other point on this: the Knicks are not as inconsistent as people think. The Knicks have not been particularly good in Madison Square Garden this year for whatever reason. We don't entirely know why. One small comment on that from a narrative standpoint: the Knicks caught a lot of wind in the Garden without fans. And then when the fans came back in the playoffs, they did not play very well against the Hawks at home. And that has continued this year. And I think people don't really necessarily go into the depth of psychology within this roster. They have a lot of young guys on this roster. I mean, Julius Randle is only 26, 27 years old, but he's never really been in the spotlight. He's not an A1 list superstar historically. And you got guys like Obi Toppin, second or third year player at Dayton. You got RJ Barrett. People in the Knicks media are talking about RJ Barrett's in a shooting slump. When was he ever a good shooter? Like, this is the thing. People have all these crazy false expectations because, again, what do people do? They zoom in on heaters and they assume that's who you always will be, just as much as they will zoom in on coolers and think that you are forever the worst. And I think people think the Knicks are a little bit better than they are because of last year, at home specifically being very good without fans. New York fans, Philly fans, Boston fans, Chicago fans are some of the hardest fans to please in the sport. Mm-hmm. And when you are not playing well, they're going to let you hear it. And if you're a young guy and your mental makeup is not so totally centered, it's a total environmental shift from when you were good in an empty stadium. So now you look at what's going on this year. They've been better on the road. Mm-hmm. And they have a sequence of environments here, Jay. They're 5-2 in the first half on the road, coming off of a home loss, which again speaks to the fact that they find more freedom traveling on the road. They're also 3-1 first half, specifically off of a home loss. They're 5-2 overall coming off a home game. They're 3-1 off of a home loss. And their only loss in that environment was to the Pacers, who we all know. Pacers, thank you for the cover last night. Made it close, but did cover. That the Pacers were also a bye team there. So again, there's a lot of environments to the Knicks. You have to really get into the psychology of what's going on here. And really, this is just a great spot tonight. It's a strong figure, and it's a 2x revenge ATS environment. Spurs were 2-0 ATS against the Knicks last year.
Yeah, some damn good points, man. You made some damn good points as well. That the Knicks, hey, those guys up there in New York, they talking all types of shit to him on the court. And we know RJ Barrett, he's just coming off of illness as well. So he said even himself, he was sick. The game versus, I believe it was the game versus the Nets. He was feeling pretty sick. Went back to the locker room, threw up a couple of times and couldn't come back, but he said he's good now. So I expect a spirited effort from the Knicks tonight. It always translates for a win, but it's the only side I can be on here, Shark. Let's go to the next game here. And we got Julius Randle coming back to Texas. It's not Dallas, but I still think he might ball out here. It's a step-up spot for him, man. We'll see what happens. Nothing's guaranteed. Let's go to the next game, man. Let's go to the street. We got the Nets versus the Mavs. What are we doing here, man? We've been in our – how can we take the Nets right now? And I'll tell you, I'm not taking my Mavs right now. It should be a full squad here. I'm staying away from this game, guys. The Nets, James Harden, what are we doing here? You don't know about now, even though they've won 6 out of the past 8. They're 1-6 against the spread the last 7 games. They're 2-7 against the spread last 9, man. What are we doing here? So in all honesty, I think it's a pure toss-up here.
I couldn't agree more. This is one of the worst games to bet in the entire season, in my opinion. You could make a strong counter narrative to either side of this game. I mean, you look at how poor Dallas has been at home this year. I mean, we're talking astounding levels of futility. Awful, awful stuff. And you look at the Nets coming in here off a lackluster stretch themselves. So again, the key counterpoint on either side is that Dallas should improve significantly at home. And the Nets should improve significantly, just generally speaking, ATS. And the Nets come in here in a double revenge game. They did lose twice to Dallas last year, both home and away. When you're looking at this number and this whole thing at 1.5, you are asking to flip a coin. And ultimately, if you're putting money on this game, I would encourage you to go down to the local casino and play some casino war or roulette. You might have bigger success there.
This guy here, man, there's something wrong with this guy, Shark, man. Yeah, this line was up to 4, man. It had come down to 2 with the Luka Porzingis news, and then it's down to 1.5, man. Good luck, guys. I understand it if you're on the Nets. You asking me, the Nets don't play well up against top tier teams. Now the Mavs aren't necessarily a top tier team, but they still can have some step up spots, especially at the house with Luka and Porzingis. With all guys in there, they can step up here. So Harden, he looks a shell of himself. I'll leave it at that. You're looking at, obviously, the Kyrie news may be starting to get to them. Harden looks like he wants to go play in Philly or somewhere else. Maybe something's going on with Harden right now in Brooklyn. So I'm off that team for a while. I hate to say it, but it's Mavs or nothing. I understand why people on the Nets, though. My Mavs aren't necessarily a top-tier team. Last game of the day, Shark. Celtics versus the Lakers, guys. I hate to be this way, Shark, but I think we get a LeBron James special here. And I'm talking about calls and shit for the Lakers here. I think this was a scheduled spot for them. Just look, and it's a revenge spot here, Shark. Probably won't be any Jaylen Brown here. When I see Scott Foster here, you see the Lakers off 3 full days of rest. They're one of the few teams today that don't have a back-to-back. Even the Spurs are on a second game back-to-back. All the other teams playing the game tomorrow. The Lakers not. It just seems like this is a favorable schedule spot for the Lakers. And if I know the NBA, then LeBron, they'll be getting the calls. The Lakers will win this game. So this Lakers are nothing for me here, Shark.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is razor sharp. I mean, you go back to the game played in Boston, going back 2 weeks, an absolute blowout, 130 to 108, Boston. But Boston was laying 1 point there. This opened up at Lakers 2.5. So we always talk about this. 3 is stock movement by Vegas averages. Long term, this is 3.5. So it's showcasing a half point of strength to the Lakers. And we talk about this all the time. The Celtics are incredibly hard to predict. People think the Knicks are unpredictable. The Celtics are even more unpredictable, in my opinion. They'll drop 145 points out of nowhere on the Blazers. Then they'll lose outright to a team like the Spurs and score 88 points. Like, explain to me how this makes.
No, I'm with you on this. Celtics definitely up and down here, Shark. Obviously, they've been on the West Coast for a while. You just went out there for a sec, Shark, but finish off what you were saying.
Yeah, and ultimately, the Celtics have been my kryptonite 100%. Like, as I just said, they're highly unpredictable, but they don't connect with any sort of numerical or narrative analysis. Like, it's when the number's strong for them, they don't cover. It's short, they cover. They'll revenge a team, then they won't revenge the next team. Then they'll get blown out 3 in a row, then get hot against the teams they shouldn't. Like, they are all over the grid. And again, I've talked about this before. Obviously, Kemba Walker was up there. He's obviously proved to be, potentially beyond his arc as a top-level pro. But I just think the mental makeup of this group is very scattered. I don't really love the mental makeup of my man Jason Tatum. I mean, I know he always talks about Kobe was his mentor and this, and that. Jason Tatum does not strike me with real deep consistency on the court. And he's burned me with a lot of bets, so maybe I'm a little biased. But I watch him and I'm like, bro, we're going to turn it on and off like this every game, every other quarter. It's just heat check and then it's nothing. And, you really can't coach people into becoming top-level competitors. It's usually a born spirit. Guys, they're going to bring it 24/7 relentlessly. They just like to compete more. I think the Celtics just turn it on and off too much. And again, speaking of turning it on and off, I bring you the 2021-22 Lakers. This team is all or nothing quarter to quarter, just like the Celtics. You get a sharp line, you get a revenge game, and you get 2 teams that are absolutely hard to predict. And I go just one final point, just sequencing the home games for the Lakers. Lakers lost by 4 points to the Kings, and they came back. They didn't cover against the Pistons. But again, they could have. They were right there, and they melted it. Now they lost by 4 to the Clippers. They come back. Theoretically, shouldn't they disperse the other direction and cover a game? I don't know. I'm ranting. I'm just pleased, but I am pleased with the Knicks tonight. Jack, continue if you have any more.
No, I'm with you on that. Man, I'm glad. Hey, Will said it there, man. It's only one play I like tonight. I'll be honest with you. Numbers, narratives, everything aside, I think that the league. I think that the Lakers win this game for higher purposes. Put it that way. I think there is an agenda for the Lakers tonight, and I thought this before the ref confirmations. Just me laying in bed last night, I said, "Watch this be a Scott Foster special." What do I wake up and see? Scott Foster ref in this game. This is. I'm telling you guys, man. If we're gonna see some questionable, you're gonna see some fishy shit in this game. I'm gonna watch this game for sure. Let's watch Scott Foster. We need a spotlight on him all night. But regardless, all three refs. Just this will be a Lakers type of game. That's just what I think, guys. Knicks. I'm right with my guy Shark in this one. Shark, break him up with the official before we get out of here.
Road team, San Antonio, Texas. Knicks -2 official, 1 unit. And again, we talked about it for 5, 6, 7 minutes. The Knicks just come in here ice cold, and the Spurs come in here scorching hot. Usually in these environments, particularly where the team that's ice cold is favored and the scorching hot is a dog, Joe Public, you don't make millions betting the chalk side here. And by chalk, I mean the obvious side. This is where the Knicks should show up. Knicks have functioned very well on the road. They're 0-2 ATS last 2 against the Spurs. The number is holding weight towards the Knicks. And again, the Spurs 5-0 ATS coming here 3rd and 4, home or road home back-to-back off a sequence of covers against the West contenders. It's just not where they function well. I think the Knicks will grind it through the game. I think they win the game by more than 2 points. 1 unit official.
I'm right with my guy, Shark. I'm right with my guy. Heavy lean for me, Lakers -2.5. I could really go on and on for the rest of this day for a lot of reasons, to be honest with you. I just think that the powers that be, if the NBA is the league that I know, the Lakers will win this game and going away. And you really think about it, Celtics after scoring 145, it's not necessarily a buy-on spot. This is a super late game for them. You look at it, the Celtics are East Coast team. The Lakers caught the Lakers in their position, playing an early game on the East Coast. Now the Lakers catch them in their house on a late game on the West Coast here. So I don't know. Scott Foster special, maybe. Heavy lean Lakers. I'm right with my guy, Shark, with the Knicks. It's coming down for us. Hey, I'm going to give 1.5. So, hey, we like the Knicks here for a little Smack City spot. I got the socks on. I'm pulling my pants up slightly below my cows, knickerbockers today, Shark. Let's cash, man. We appreciate you for talking me into doing the show, man. I was not in the mood today, but however, let's cash. We're back tomorrow, full card. We out, my guys. Let's cash.